Hi there, dear friends. We are doing a live yoga class here. It's going to be about 25 minutes to half an hour of restorative yoga, which I don't often teach on YouTube. Usually we do vinyasa and hatha, and we have a few yin classes as well, and a few kids classes too. But this is a type of yoga that I often do as a student and did a lot of when I was back in Singapore with my Iyengar teacher. Every 4 weeks or 1 week of every month would be a restorative week, having done back bends and forward folds and standing poses and twists and so on. There would be 1 week of restorative. And you can see I have a lot of props here, not as many as I would like. A lot of my props, my blankets, my bolster and so on are literally at sea. Hello, I've got quite a few people here. Hey, hi guys. Do leave a message here if you want to say hello. So yeah, a lot of my blankets and so on are at sea, but what I want you to do now, as we're waiting for a few more people to come on, is to go around your flat, your house, and have a look for blankets, bolster, if you happen to have a bolster. Hi, Juanita. Hey. Towels, even nice firm sofa cushions are good. Better than pillows that you would put your head on at night. Sofa cushions have a bit more firmness to them. So blankets, bolster if you have. I'm using blocks as well, and even a couple of hand towels are quite good to be able to use to prop up the backs of your knees. You'll see it in our second pose today. That's very useful. Okay, we've got quite a few people here, so I think that we'll start. So 25 minutes to half an hour of really nice, long-held, restorative yoga poses. Make sure that you're warm, because we're not going to be doing anything dynamic and warmy-uppy here. So I'm wearing a fleecy. I've just put the heating on, actually, so I'm probably going to take this off at some point. But I do like to have warm feet, so I've got my furry slippers on. So if you've got slippers or socks, put them on if you're prone to cold feet. I'm talking particularly to those of us in northern climes in Europe, in the UK, who are watching this. Wherever you might be in the world watching this live or the recording, make sure you're warm. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my mat. And we're going to start with a restorative pose that is a twist, the only twist that we're going to be doing in our class today. So what I want you to do here is, this is a version of Bharavajrasana, is to park your bottom just to the left of your feet. You can see my slippers here, these are magnificent. And place the front of your right shin into the sole of your left foot, so that you're sitting kind of on your left sitting bone, your left buttock, and your right one is slightly up. Now, make sure that you've already got all your props or your accoutrements nearby, or at least in reaching distance. So this is what I'm going to do, and I recommend that you do whatever you can do that's similar. So if you have a bolster, just put it straight to the side of your left hip. I don't. I'm going to use 3 blocks instead to create a little prop up. So I've got one quite close to the outside of my left hip. I'm just going to place them so that when I now put my makeshift bolster, which is another yoga mat, onto this is a nice propped up thing. Then blankets or towels. So I've got one blanket, it's a bit prickly and not very nice on the skin. It's a bit rough. It's very good, but it's a wool. So I'm going to put this at the bottom here. Now, actually, tell you what, it's very good to make it as high as you can, as long as you can. Then my softer, fleecy one is going to go on top, like so. And then I've got a little hand towel here that I'm going to fold up a couple more times in order for my head to be supported. So do whatever is the equivalent to this, but do it well. It's worth making it that the fold's nice and not wrinkled up, because you're going to be lying over this for a good minute and a half, and you'll start to feel that. It's like the Princess and the Pea. You want to have this really nicely laid up. And also, I'm getting a bit hot here, so if you're too hot or too cold, make sure that you're wearing clothes that will make you feel comfortable. So from here, Once you've got your stack, and you can lower this at any point during the pose if you want to, but it's good to start off with a nice bit of height. Bring your hands to either side of your props. Inhale, raise your chest up. Look towards your props here, so don't look towards the screen, just look towards your props. And then draw the right ribs forward, lift up your heart, and drape yourself over. You can stabilize the props. Bring your hands down. So you're coming into a twist here. And make it quite a deep twist. So I actually come down once, and then I come up again. So raise yourself up again about halfway. Lift up your lower belly, and make sure that your upper belly and your chest are on your props. Now, if your neck is feeling good, you can turn it to the right, so you're completing the twist. Or it doesn't matter, you can turn your head the other way. Turn my head towards the right this time, so I can see the screen. Adjust yourself, move yourself around so that your left hip isn't touching or isn't being pressed too much by your props. You just feel nicely uplifted. Your elbows on the floor. You can even change your hands a little bit here so you haven't got your fingers outstretched, but make sure that your fingers are curled into fists and really rest your head. Put a slight more of a twist into this if you can. Lift up the left ribs and drop the right. And then let yourself be supported. I'm going to start timing this to about a minute now. Close your eyes. If you feel like you need to slightly hold your abdominal muscles, put a slight tone there, then feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can completely soften and let go. If you want to make the twist a little deeper, then do. And then try and be still. So our practice tonight is all about rejuvenating, resting. Yoga doesn't have to be all about toning and stretching. One of the wonderful things I love about yoga is you can choose the type of practice that you want according to your needs at the time. I think especially in these times of Northern Europe being cold, we're kind of nesting down a little bit. We've also following guidelines where we're being told to nest down and stay in, to take care. I think this kind of yoga can feel really good. Now we're going to come to the other side. So bring your hands down to the floor, push yourself up. Now, rather than picking up all of your props and bringing to the other side, it's a good idea to just turn yourself to the side. So I'm going to turn away from you here. You do the same. Bring your right hip down to the floor. By the way, feel free to take a sip of tea or anything that you might want. A drink. I'm going to bring my hip a little bit closer to the prop. And push down with your right hand. Inhale, raise your chest. Turn the left ribs towards your prop and then lift up that little bit more. Make sure that your at least mid to upper ribs are being supported. Really drop the left ribs. Twist as much as you can here. So there is quite a lot of turning going on in your spine. And then bring either your left cheek down or your right cheek down. Find a comfortable position. And then perhaps you can press your hands down, come up again about halfway, and twist that a little bit more. Make sure you're really comfortable. You bring your head down, either the right cheek or the left cheek, or on your towel or on your blanket. Let your top hip move towards your feet. Let it release. Put your hands in any position that you feel are right for you. If you want to outreach your left hand a little bit more to stretch the left side of your body, feel free to do that. Otherwise, just let your elbows be held, your forearms held by the floor. Some silence here. Notice your breathing. Let your breath be natural and light. Now bring your hands down where your elbows are and push yourself up, coming out of this restorative variation of Bharadvajrasana. And we're going to now come into a forward fold. I'm just going to take that off, but I'm going to keep it nearby because it might be useful as a prop. So dismantle your props, but what you're going to do is sit on the front of one of your blankets or your towel. And you're going to use all the props, so if you're lucky enough to just have a bolster, you're going to use that. So fold the towel, the blanket, so that the forward fold is right at the front of your mat. And sit onto it just ahead of the sitting bones. Now, I don't like to have the blanket too high. Having said that, I'm going to fold it over a little bit more so that it levels up the pelvis a little bit. Sit right on the front of it. And then widen your legs for Upavista Konasana. And build your props going down like this. Now, if you've got a bolster, it's going to go straight here and quite snug in towards your groin. I'm putting my bolster substitute onto my blocks like this. And then my towel, my blanket is going to go here. And I'm going to fold it over one more time to make a little bit more height for the head. Now, if you've got two smaller towels and you know that you hyperextend your knees, so the backs of your knees go down towards the floor in an uncomfortable way, you can roll up these little hand towels and plop them underneath the backs of your knees so that you can keep the legs straight or even a little bit of a bend in the knees. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this to make this a little bit more comfortable for my head. So hold your props in place. Inhale, raise your chest. Lift up your lower belly and then drape yourself forward. Now, all the while, keep your legs pretty engaged here. Squeeze your thighs, press your heels down. And then bring your arms down to the floor and turn your head in one direction. We're going to change it in the other direction halfway through. Rest your arms. Now I quite like to pull on the block a little bit here to get a little bit more length. If you feel like you could get a bit more length, you can come up halfway again. Lift up your chest and then come down again. That's a second entry into the pose I find really helps to deepen it. Come into it a little bit more effectively. Now, keep your legs a little bit engaged here. So we're not doing yin yoga where we would come into a very intense stretch with all the muscles relaxed. I want you to feel like you're getting a little bit of a stretch. A nice, gentle stretch, but something that you could really feel very comfortable with. And there's a little bit of engagement going on in your thighs, pressing your heels down. Relax your shoulders, your neck, the muscles around your face. And if you want to just bring your hands to the floor, then do that. Let your fingers curl. There are many different ways of doing restorative yoga. Some of them where you're really propped up high and your body is completely soft and relaxed. I like doing that, but today we're putting a little bit of engagement into the legs. And in the way that My Iyengar teacher has taught me. He really encourages you to come very deeply into the poses. We're kind of compromising here a little bit. Now we're about halfway through, so from here raise your head and turn your head in the other direction. Do it slowly and carefully. Your neck is taking quite a big twist here. Rest the entire weight of your arms down. Relax your shoulders and the back of your neck. And if you can roll forward that tiny little bit more over your two sitting bones, feel free to lift up. Lift your body weight away from your props. Lift up your lower belly and come forward a little bit more. I'm going to be here for about 30 more seconds. A little bit of a squeeze, a little bit of a hug of your thigh muscles around your thigh bones. And then from here, slowly come out. So bring your hands to the floor, come all the way up. If you're doing this recording, by the way, feel free to pause and hold these poses for even longer if you want to. Now, we're going to keep the legs in this position, but you're going to drape yourself over your right leg and then your left. So we're doing a Parsva Upavista Konasana. I'm going to change the props a little bit though. It's a little bit precarious with all of the blocks I have here. So what I'm going to do is just open up my spare mat a little bit more. And here, if you have a bolster, just put it completely onto your leg. If you're a little bit more flexible and you don't need so much support, then maybe just blankets will be fine for you. So I'm going to make sure that I've got enough depth here as I come into the twist. So you come into the twist too. Turn your chest towards your right foot. Lift yourself up. Now I'm going to drape myself over the blanket, but I think this might not be comfortable enough for me. So I'm going to put my block here underneath my forehead. Find whatever works for you. I want you to really feel like your chest and your lower belly are being supported. You can really drape yourself over. There's no negative space. Everything, particularly the chest and the belly, are being held. Don't put anything under your throat. And if you want, you can hold on to your foot here and keep a little bit of engagement in both of your legs. And let your left hip feel heavy here. Let the left lower back benefit from this lengthening that you're giving it. If you feel like the props aren't high enough, then feel free to upload a little bit. We're going to be here for about 45 more seconds or so. Find a position that's comfortable. Knowing how long you're going to be here. Let your breathing be very normal. Again, you've got the opportunity to put that little hand towel underneath the back of both of your knees here if you want. Let your shoulders drop, particularly the left one, the one inside your right leg. I'm really trying to help you cultivate calm and introverted slowing down in your practice here. Now coming to the other side with as little fuss as possible. Bring your hands back halfway. Firm your abdominal muscles that little bit more. Inhale, come up. And then, as best you can, transfer everything over to the other side. If you've only got one hand towel, by the way, and you want to put it underneath the back of your knee, roll it up really nicely and plop it under. And then from here, inhale, lift up the lower belly, twist your right ribs towards your left big toe, and then drape yourself over. And again, you can bring your head onto your block, onto your towel. You might need a bit more support on this side. You might need a little less support on this side. Whatever it is, respond and adjust. Prop yourself up. Give yourself support. Make sure that you're really feeling support underneath your lower belly, your chest. If you don't have a bolster, ask for one for Christmas, or just buy yourself one, especially if you're really enjoying this practice. And bolsters can be used in so many ways. You can sit on one for meditation. There are numerous ways of using a bolster to support you in restorative and yin yoga. I have one filled with buckwheat, which is particularly lovely. I miss it. I'm very tempted to buy another one. You can get them filled with fibre, and as densely filled as you want. They can come as rolls, as like big tubes, about 1 meter long, or they can be a little flatter. The more you practice yoga, the more you'll find that they have different uses. And a few more breaths here. Notice if you're tight anywhere, in your shoulders in particular, in your arms, and try and let that go. Now come up halfway, engage your legs a little bit more before you do. And then take the props away, all of them for now. We're going to do a back bend now before we come into Shavasana. So, and you're going to use a prop. Just clear the decks for the moment. Excuse me, I've got a tickle in the back of my throat. So from here, the props are going to be, if you've got 2 blocks, place them on top of each other like this. If you've got a bolster, then just place it across the mat like this. If you have neither of those, then your blankets, roll them like this. Perhaps one on top of the other, just so you've got a little bit of an elevation here going across the mat. I'm going to use my 2 blocks and something for the head to land on behind, because you're going to do a back bend over the blocks here, like this. So do what I'm doing now. Park your bottom just in front of this elevation, and it doesn't have to be this high, by the way. You can bring it just to 1 block, and you'll see why in a moment. Just watch for a minute. So I'm going to keep my knees bent throughout the entire pose, and then bring my upper back onto the blocks. Then I'm going to reach around for my blanket and make sure that it's high enough for my head to rest on. And if you happen to have another block, you can always put that there as well. In fact, I think I'm going to reach around for my other block and make it just that much more gorgeous and comfortable for the head. So whatever you're doing, make sure you've got something to rest your head on, even if it's the same height, which I've kind of built up here. And then bring your arms down by your sides with your elbows on the floor. Don't move the blocks under your back. Move your back, scooch it over or down so that you really feel comfortable here. The bottom tips of your shoulder blades feel like they're more or less in the middle of the blocks. And then the backs of your hands are on the floor, with your palms facing up. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do that. Slightly press your tailbone towards your feet so you lengthen out your lower back and keep that as a background white noise throughout the entire minute of this pose. You've got a little bit of abdominal muscle engagement as you do that, and it helps to lengthen out the lower back. And keeping that going, let your shoulder blades drape around the block as comfortably as you can. If the block feels sharp, by the way, if you are using blocks, feel free to put a blanket over them. And let your collarbones and your chest, your pectoral muscles open, expand. And notice how that helps you to breathe more effectively, more deeply. The rib cage is opened here, pressed up. Let those bottom ribs at the front expand and lift with every inhalation. Notice how they drop as you exhale. And your knees touch, but your feet be wide. About another 30 seconds here. And let your face soften. Now make your way slowly and carefully into Shavasana. Press your elbows down just enough for you to be able to pick up your head. Turn to the side and move the blocks away. Move them far away from the mat so that when you do lie down in Shavasana, you don't touch any props. Having said that, make sure that you have got something for underneath the back of your head. So lie just ahead of your blanket or your towel. Bring your elbows down. Lengthen your legs one by one down your mat. You've got a ponytail in, take it completely out. And then scrunch your towel so that underneath the back of your neck, it's completely supported. There's no negative space there. And then press the towel or the blanket into the sides of your head so you feel cosseted. That will spring away a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Just press it in for now. So you feel like your head is really well supported. And bring your arms down by your sides. Make sure that your Shavasana is really well lined up so you feel like the back of your head down to your tailbone is one straight line. And that your legs are evenly separated from that center line where it's to continue from your tailbone to your heels. Your arms are an even distance away from the sides of your body. And your elbows slightly bent, so let the backs of your hands slide up a little bit towards the wall behind you. Press your elbows down so your shoulder blades can move a little closer to each other, so you feel like your upper back is lying as plainly, as flat and as comfortably as possible. Another minute here in silence. Rest. Now bend your knees one leg at a time, bringing the soles of your feet to the floor. And roll over either to your right or your left side, whatever comes spontaneously and naturally to you tonight. Rest for a few more moments on your side. Now press down with your left hand and then your right hand. And bring yourself up to sit. Sit cross-legged. Sit as comfortably as you can. You can even bring the towel or the blanket behind you and prop yourself up for a moment here. Bring your palms down onto your legs. Just pause here for a few moments. Not so much meditation, but just a moment of contemplation, a moment of pause. Slightly lower your chin and press the crown of your head up a little more to the ceiling so you lengthen your spine. Bring your shoulders slightly back and your throat slightly back. Rest your arms, rest the weight of your arms. And lift up the base of your breastbone, sitting with a little more confidence, and yet with ease. This kind of yoga, this type of yoga where we're very still and holding poses for a long time, takes some maturity. We're apt to fidget and to want results. But do consider the practice is also very much linked to slowing down, observing, being still, and rejuvenation. So come back to this practice anytime you need a little bit of tender loving care to restore, to renew, and to feel held. Bring your hands into your heart and lower your chin so it touches your fingertips. You can release your hands and bring your palms down onto your legs. Raise your chin and open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. I will be doing another live class on Friday morning at 11, so please do join me there. It won't be a restorative class like this, it's going to be a lot more zippy, dynamic and flowing. also open to all levels. So I hope that you can join me then. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Please put them in the comments box here, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope that you have a wonderful night's sleep. Namaste. Good night. Thanks, Juanita. Take care. Thanks, everyone, for joining.